Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Lost in Criterion. I'm John Patrick Owatari Dorgan, and with me today, as always, is a man who's been chased by ghouls all over a beach every day.
I am the Adam Glass, and it's how I get my exercise. Really.
Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah, don't.
You gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, speaking of ghouls, what the hell is going on in this film?
Well, Pat, what would you like to know?
My plan today was actually to ask you to explain this film to me. I was like, Adam, right. I was just planning to go into it right from the beginning. Adam, tell me what happened in this film, because I don't understand.
Today we are watching Carnival of Souls, directed and co-written, I believe. Actually, no, it may not have been co-written, but directed by...
Are you sure this film was written?
No, it was written.
At all, in general?
A guy named John Clifford co-wrote it, as well
co-wrote it with himself?
He co-wrote it with Herc Harvey. It's called Carnival of Souls.
Did you say Carnival of Souls?
Carnival of Souls.
Okay, sorry.
What did you think I said?
Colonel.
Colonel? It's not.
I'm not sure which which spelling either.
It's not called Carnival of Souls.
Okay.
It's called Carnival of Souls.
Sorry.
Okay? No more interrupting. It makes it hard to edit.
Are we going to regiment our conversation from now on? Like,
no.
We're going to get like the talking stick or something?
Maybe.
Pass it back
Maybe.
and forth.
It'd be really hard to pass along.
Yeah. It'll be a virtual talking stick.
Yes. So this is a Herc Harvey film shot in 3 weeks for about $30,000 in Lawrence, Kansas, and Salt Lake City. He had been in California, was driving back, drove through Salt Lake City, and saw the Saltaire Pavilion, in which the climax of the movie is shot in an abandoned amusement park outside of Salt Lake City. And he decided that he wanted to write a movie that used that space to horrific consequences. And he said, "Hey, John Clifford, write me a movie." And John Clifford said, "Okay."
Are you kidding me?
I am not.
Well, no wonder it's a piece of crap.
I know, right? It's a movie built around a set piece. Which, and it's from two people who worked on industrial and educational films.
So, like, remember, everybody, always put the ladder away when you're finished using it.
Yes, that sort of thing. Some more overt direct... The movie he made directly prior to this is called To Touch a Child, which sounds a lot worse than it is. But it's about creating a sense of community in schools and offering after-school activies and how that can really turn things around. The movie he made directly after this is called Pork, the Meal with a Squeal.
I assume that one is actually an industrial film, like on how to slaughter a pig or something.
Maybe. So
we don't know.
Some of them.
Why is that not in the Criterion Collection?
I don't know. This is the only feature film that Herc Harvey made. Great quote from Herc Harvey. I've been to festivals and people always ask, "How come you only made one film?" And I say, "Hell, I've made over 400."
I was really hoping his quote would have been more like, "Have you seen the one I made?"
Oh, Pat. So this is a independent horror movie. It's had a lot of influence. I mean, even very clearly, the ghouls themselves and plot to an extent directly inspired Night of the Living Dead. And
yeah, I mean that's obvious. You can see that, like, yeah. I mean, I picked up on that, and I understand why this movie can be seen as important.
The main character is fairly Barbara-esque. It's also interestingly important for being one of the few movies at the time and the few movies in the genre to not have a love story plot or subplot.
Despite the best the dreams and hopes of that what I thought of as Captain Douchebag. I don't actually know his name.
Captain Douchebag. John Landing, I think.
Is that the name of the actor or the character?
No, that is the character. Is John John something or other. John Linden. Linden is his name. Played by a guy named Sidney Berger. I can't talk today.
It's okay.
I can't talk any day.
Well, yeah. Me neither. It's a wonder that like anybody can understand anything we do.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a very strange movie.
That's like a severe understatement, Adam.
Yeah.
Candice Hilligoss.
Candice Hilligoss, who plays Mary Henry, our main character.
She's pretty.
She's pretty. She was only in 2 films herself. This and another movie. She actually wrote her own treatment for a sequel to this.
Oh God!
And in 1998, Wes Craven executive produced rather, a remake in air quotes because it had very little to do besides the name. And she refused to be in it because she felt like she had been screwed over because no one ever considered her treatment for a sequel. Which is kind of, I used to be a star sort of attitudes. Why won't anyone pay attention to me now? But she was never really that much of a star because she was only in 2 movies. Interestingly,
what was the other movie?
I don't know offhand, actually.
I would love to know.
Look that up. I think it is interesting to point out that she was a Lee Strasberg trained actress. The Curse of the Leading Corpse she made 2 years later. And she was in an episode of Naked City, the television show, in 1962 as well. Well, yeah, she was Strasberg trained, which is a hard school to get into, and the school for acting in the era. And yet, she's got 2 credits, both low budget.
Not everybody who goes to Harvard becomes a success either. So.
I suppose that's true, but yeah.
Just because you got trained well doesn't mean you can make a go of it.
Yeah, the movie's got an interesting pedigree.
Yeah, it does. Squeal. Pork. Yeah. The meal with the squeal.
David Lynch also cites it as an influence, which I can understand. Mm-hmm. Because David Lynch is also insane.
Yeah, right. This sort of madness is right up his alley, frankly. Yeah. No, it's more that, like, I don't understand the film, like, directly.
Okay.
Like we're talking, it's more, this is one of the most fundamentally incomprehensible films we've watched, for me. In that, like, I don't know why anything happens.
Okay, Pat, spoiler alert, she's dead the whole time.
I know.
All right.
I knew that from, like, the moment, well, I'm not going to say the beginning. I knew it as soon as things turned weird. And the ghoul guy started showing up.
When she crawls out of the river after everyone's been searching for her, 3 hours later, I think it's pretty clear that we ought to know she's dead. Perhaps that would not have been clear to audiences in 1962.
Well,
but
I was iffy because their search technique apparently involved throwing a piece of metal at the water. I was like, well, maybe she's just laying on the beach, kind of thing.
Well, that's how you drag the bottom.
I know, but I mean, they weren't. There was like 4 guys working on it.
Yes.
So I'm saying is like at that time I could say, maybe she was just in some brush or something. But as soon as it got weird, it's like, oh, so she's dead, huh?
Yeah.
And by the way, so and from that point on though, like. But that doesn't justify the fact that this is just madness. Like, she was dead the whole time, M. Night Shyamalan, is not an excuse for things not making sense.
Well, that's the thing. This isn't, I just lost the name of that Bruce Willis movie. But it's not...
Sixth Sense?
Yeah, it's not The Sixth Sense. It's not that she's dead and still interacting with people. She's dead in some sort of fever death dream. This is all... None of this is actually happening.
Right, and I understand that.
Obviously, since her corpse is still in the car.
Right, and looks very, very happy. By the way.
Well, she's got that weird grin that all the ghouls had at the end.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, assuming, like, I can kind of see where they wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, that's kind of an interesting thing to talk about is, like, what do people experience right before they die? Yeah. But the madness that unfolds is not redeeming in any way. It neither paints a picture that is positive nor negative. It paints madness. The unfolding of events that are not connected to each other in any meaningful way.
Well, I do like the implication that the afterlife consists of hanging out at abandoned amusement parks.
It's terrifying. Like, see, that's the weird thing about the film is he built the film around the set piece, and guess what? The only terrifying part about the film, the set piece. Just because I find abandoned amusement parks terrifying.
And I think most people do.
Yeah, I do like the idea that before that it was a bathhouse, which I really wanted them to explore more thoroughly. Maybe the ghouls will be taking baths. Assuming that it's bathhouse in the sense that people take baths at it, and not bathhouse in the sense that people have sex.
Yes. Assuming...
I don't know which one they mean. Because the way that gas station attendant was talking, it's like... I
think someone who's supposed to be in Salt Lake City probably uses bathhouse in a literal sense. Not a...
Right. It was a little confusing. And then I like how... like is a poor word choice. I must have missed a lot.
What?
No,
what's your question, Pat?
What? The organ music. Well, first of all, I hate organ music.
She is an organ player.
I understand, which is the funniest thing anybody's ever said in a movie. Yes. I went to college to be an organist. But beyond that, what was she doing wrong in the church that got her kicked off her organ job?
She was not playing hymns, but had started to play the musical accompaniment to the Dance Macabre that she was envisioning. She was playing a sad, creepy dirge, and the pastor, minister, priest, whatever he was,
flipped the hell out, didn't he?
Yeah, he freaked out.
It was a really inappropriate response.
It was really, and it wasn't like it was implied that it was happening during the service, which I could understand.
Right.
This was during one of her practice
congregation
sessions.
Yeah, exactly. I assume that church organists warm up with whatever they feel like warming up with.
I just assume they play Inagata Davida a lot.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
But there's a million choices, right? It's not even contemporary stuff. You could just play Mozart for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, the other thing...
would that be inappropriate in the church? Because a lot of that's funeral dirges.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the only reason she was an organ player is because John Clifford, screenwriter, was thinking of other places that had interesting things going on that they could have as set pieces, and knew a guy who worked for
an organ building store,
or
whatever that place is.
Yeah, the organ manufactory in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh my God!
So that's why she became an organ player.
You know what, Adam?
So that they could shoot in that manufactory.
You know what, Adam? Let's make a movie. Let's just pick a bunch of really awesome places and build a movie around it, because that's all that happened in this film.
Well,
I saw this really awesome gas station on the way home. Why don't we make that part of the film?
That's a problem a lot of independent films have, is, this is awesome to look at. Let's set a thing here.
Yeah, let's make a thing around
they're
this.
Setting, especially coming off of last week where everything worked so perfectly, and set wasn't really...
There's almost no set.
Yeah.
We found this nice stucco building.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it minimalist, because it's not like they were staging it with just a tree or a chair.
It's just you had what you needed to make the film. And the people are the focus.
This is, there's not a lot of clear set work. I'd say the diner might be set work. But not necessarily. In the IMDb page, it does list a studio as a place that some things were shot, but I can't really... The car work, I guess. The car work.
So, by the way...
Maybe.
Okay, yes. Car work. I think that goes in air quotes, by the way. The movie started off in... Is there anything about this movie that's not madness? How does it even start?
Well, it starts...
He rolls up and says, "Hey, I don't even remember what he says.
It starts in media race of some guys pulling up and saying, "Hey, you want a drag race?" And
right. Okay, do people say yes to that?
Apparently, they do in 1962. Pat.
And also, what the hell is with that bridge?
Well, that's another piece that they thought, hey, it'll be neat to put this bridge in.
Because, sure. It's not a train bridge because there's no tracks on those little rails.
No, but it should be a single lane bridge in which you drive on those rails, not on the cross beams.
Right. And then how did they get knocked off? Because if you actually watch this, again, air quotes, special effects, it appears that the car literally jumps off.
Yes. I think that's probably what happened. The car was tired of its life.
I can't be involved in this nonsense anymore.
I can't do this anymore. It's 1962. I was clearly built in 1940. What am I doing?
Dear God, end it all. I'm driving off this road.
And it, unfortunately, took 3 women with him.
Unfortunately, again, I'm not sure if that's a good choice of words, Adam.
Oh, come on. All death is tragic, right?
This movie's death? Yeah.
Not so much.
Real death is tragic. This movie's death is different kind of tragic.
Yes.
No,
so it's
but the lady who's raising it's I don't understand.
I think it does some good things atmospherically, when she can't escape the organ music on the radio, driving across the desert at night and seeing...
There's some creepy stuff.
Seeing that building in silhouette, that huge building that shouldn't be there. That's what we get. Who in their right mind built that place?
Right. In the middle of Kansas.
No, middle of Salt Lake.
Sorry.
Great Salt Lake, but yeah. So yeah, she only needs to go to Salt Lake City because the screenwriter decided not to move Saltaire at all. Even though they never name it as Saltaire, that building has to exist in Salt Lake City just because that's where it actually exists in the real world.
Right.
Which is another, not exactly a decision that was made. It's not. They're not making choices at that point. It's just happening because it's happening.
We need this building.
Yeah.
No, no. It's just
there are some dramatic...
None of the decisions are decisions. Her being an organist is not a decision.
It's that they liked
the atmosphere of the organ manufacturers.
Yeah.
Therefore, she needs to be probably the least likely thing in the history of mankind.
Yeah. Hey, some people are organ players, okay?
I know, but they are not usually college-trained organists, are they? Is that a thing that happens in the world?
I know people who went to college for,
piano.
Yeah.
And they pick up organ to make ends meet.
Organs are really complicated, okay? You can go to college for organisting.
Okay, sure. I believe you that in 1962 or whatever, people went to college all the time for organism?
Listen, okay, 1962 was still a time when women had really few choices in what to major.
That's true.
Okay.
I understand that, but I don't know that organists...
Maybe she wrote down organisms because she was kind of dumb, but she wanted to study science.
I want to study organisms.
And the guy in the admissions office...
Took her a really long time to figure out she was dead.
The guy in the admissions office, lady's name, wants to study organisms. No, I think she wants to be an organist.
Yeah, right? We created a department specifically for her.
Yeah.
It's like one of those build-your-own-major situations.
Yes. Obviously. Does she mention what college she went to? Maybe she went to one of those colleges where you can major in whatever you want.
College of Organists. Yes. I love it. That's all they teach.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the term college had more significance. Maybe it was legitimately a college and not a university.
Maybe.
So, getting off of her improbable academic career.
I don't think it's that improbable. All right?
No, it's pretty improbable to me.
I know people today. My roommate goes to a church where the organist is not a member of the church, and it's just
no. My church I understand that as a thing. They hire organists, but from what I understand, usually the organists learn from other organists.
Yes, not
how to play the organ.
Not
from some sort of weird classical organ institute.
Well, maybe, there's a lot of majors that exist where really it should be more of an apprentice sort of thing, or someone should writing shouldn't be a college major. It should be something you just do and maybe
until you get good at it.
Yeah. You can't teach someone how to write, but we still want to do that. And I went to college partially for it, so.
And you're a better man for it, Charlie Brown.
I went to college to read. Let's be sure on that one. I went to college to read. And avoid the real world for a little bit.
Yeah, who didn't, right? So getting off of her academic career,
yes.
But just generally from there, like, I don't know if Adam, you just talk about the film. I'm just gonna sit here.
Okay.
I have nothing constructive to add because I don't understand. Like, I understand. Don't misunderstand that I don't understand. What I mean is, I understand exactly what happened. I don't understand why it exists.
There is a use, however inconsistent, of water whenever the ghouls arrive. They raise out of the water, which reminded me of Diabolique, which I liked, but Diabolique did it better.
Yes, it did.
At Saltaire, at the amusement park. There is water somewhere whenever the ghoul shows up, but not always. So mostly whenever he shows up, but not always.
Which again, like, if you have to be consistent.
Yeah. Which is a
if
symbolism.
You want people to be scared of it.
Yeah. It's symbolism drawing back to the fact that she's really drowning to death, but it's not consistent. So, there's problems with that. I like there's a lot of points where the transitions, I think, do really well. We go from her reaching for the key of her car, and then she pulls away, and she's playing on the organ. There's a point where the gas station attendant is giving her directions and points off into the dark sky as to the direction she needs to be, and cut the dark sky. Like, we follow his pointing, and now the dark sky is the dark room as the door opens. I think that was there's some transitions that are really great. The overhead framing when she first enters the dance hall, not when it's the dance macabre, but when she first goes to investigate the place, and she's there very small. It gives a good sense of size, shadow. It's technically well done there too. So there's good stuff going on here,
right? But you can't.
But there's not enough good stuff
you
going on.
You can't wrap good cinematography around a piece of crap.
Yes.
And that's what... I mean, they wrap decent cinematography around tripe.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Yeah. And never mind the fact that, like, I have my own biases. I don't like horror films, as we've discussed multiple times in this show. And more importantly, I also don't like any time... Like, we're supposed, I guess, to be getting a vision of what, like, it's like as you drown. Well, this doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't... Like, I would much rather have and this is my own personal bias, a kind of, like, positive message where she's being, like, kind of pulled, but, like, in a, like, it's a like, I don't know how to
She's
explain.
misunderstanding.
This movie has been made at other times.
Yeah.
Of people dying. And, like, what they go... This has been episodes of TV. This has been movies. Yeah, maybe they happened after this. But the point is that, like... This, like, you are dying. You give in to the fact that you are dying. You're being escorted to death. Thing has happened so many times in every form of media. To do this bad of a job of it is upsetting to me. Like,
yeah.
Because... to paint, like, the coming of death as some sort of ghoul?
Yeah.
That, like, haunts you, it just doesn't really make any sense. But then, like, to kind of confuse the message, because the ghoul that's following her is terrifying.
Yes.
But then, like, the dance macabre is not supposed to be exactly terrifying. It is, but it isn't, because they're all happy, too.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of mixed messages. Are people supposed to be, like, in peace and death or are they supposed to be terrified and fight? It's I don't like it, Adam.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of mixed messages from the film. And then sometimes her hearing cuts out and nobody can see her or talk to her. What's that? Is that because she's dead? But that doesn't make sense. This is her delusion. She's not dead to these people. She's alive to these people because it's her delusion.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't understand
really
her.
Make sense. Yeah. When she drops out and she's not interacting with the world, one of the things that really doesn't make sense to me, I can move beyond her being invisible within her own dream world, and it's her mind trying to tell her that she's not really there.
But why?
Maybe.
But her mind wouldn't tell her that.
Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. What does it matter? Okay.
But you know what I mean.
What?
It creates a hallucinatory universe and then doesn't let her be in it.
Yeah. Dreams are weird, man. Dreams are weird,
but the hallucinations of dying people are probably not dreams. Like, this is more like dream behavior rather than like like my brain is being deprived of oxygen.
This is a death dream.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a thing, but why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. No, what gets me is the fact that she comes back to reality, so to speak, when touching the same tree and hearing a bird sing. Both times that it happens. And what does that mean?
I don't know. That's what I'm talking about, though.
Why is the tree magic?
The film doesn't explain itself. It's like, if you or I or somebody tried to make if you just wanted to fill something, if you decided, like, I'm going to fill this bag full of symbolism. Yep, just sitting here shoveling symbolism today. Like, symbolism doesn't mean anything if the symbol is meaningless. But, like, obviously in Herc Harvey's, I assume, oxygen-deprived brain, that somehow, like, that tree with the bird makes sense?
Maybe.
But maybe the bird should be the one who escorts her to the afterlife. I'd prefer that than creepy ghoul guy who doesn't do anything except for show up a lot and be creepy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I do not like. I'm going to have nightmares.
Aw, Pat, he's not that creepy.
Creepy enough for me. People outside of windows are enough.
He could use a comb.
It's the eyes that do it.
The eyes?
Yeah.
Of course it is. The main ghoul actually played by Herc Harvey.
Well, that explains a lot.
Credited as the man.
Really? The man?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the best they could come up with.
Well, he's trying to keep her down.
Right, okay. Understood. Literally. In the water.
Yes.
But okay. Here's the final insult to injury, okay?
Yeah.
The end scene. The pre-end scene end scene. Before the M. Night Shyamalan reveal.
Yes.
Is these guys who have no real business being all in the same place, but whatever. At the beach, talking about how her footsteps lead down to the beach.
And then she disappears.
Yeah.
You know, this thing that if everything we're seeing has been her own death
hallucination,
dream,
how does she hallucinate herself not being there?
Why does she hallucinate a bunch of guys investigating her disappearance? Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense, Adam!
No, it's Pat. It doesn't.
Like, they didn't even need that scene in there. They could have just had it in, like, they could have gone straight from ghouls attacking to fishing the car out.
Yeah.
Why the scene of her imagining the investigation of her disappearance? It's madness, Adam. The phrase doesn't even... I feel kind of upset saying the phrase. Like, the logical distortions involved are bad enough that it makes me uncomfortable to say them.
Yeah.
So, Herc Harvey, madman.
Okay, yeah.
He also made, what was it? How
Pork,
to Touch Children.
The meal with
Pork. The meal with
How to touch a child, not how to touch children.
I couldn't
it's
remember.
Different. It's different.
All I could think of is pedophilia.
I mean, that's, yeah.
I knew it was a simpler time.
He also made Why Study Home Economics? What about drinking? Caring for your toys?
None of
Star
these sound
34.
like he's implying that these are bad things.
The Procrastinator.
Like, no, think about it. Okay, what about drinking? Sounds like a
safety
suggestion.
is your problem.
What?
Street safety is your problem.
See, it sounds like he's... No, man. This guy's titles need work.
Operation Grass Killer. Oh,
what is that about?
Related. I hope it's marijuana related. I don't
No,
have...
I really hope it's about, like, lawn care.
Yeah, I don't have any information on it. I just have the title off IMDb.
I'm just saying that, like, what about drinking? Sounds like that he's making a suggestion.
Oh, he directed a segment for Reading Rainbow.
Cool. Were there ghouls?
In 83. I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
That would have been an awesome Reading Rainbow.
Oh, he acted in Reading Rainbow, too.
What, he played actors in Reading Rainbow?
He played in the segment he produced called Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain. Or that's the name of the episode. The segment he was in was called Puddle Hopping, and he played a policeman. I don't remember anything about that.
The only thing I remember, literally the only thing I remember, the only episode of Reading Rainbow I remember is where LeVar Burton's in a diner, and he gets confused by diner speak. He's the cook. And they ask for, like...
I remember that scene.
Ice on rice or something like that, and he just starts making the things that they said. Yes. That was the best episode, because it's the only one I remember. Can we just go off on a Reading Rainbow tangent?
No.
Because the man's amazing.
He was in The Day After, Hark Harvey. He played a farmer in The Day After.
What's The Day After?
The Day After was a early 80s film... made for TV.
Was that apocalypse one with
what's
his name?
Steve Guttenberg.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
Because he was in it, but he was kind of the star.
What's the guy in who's on Throw Rock from the Sun?
Oh, John Lithgow. Yeah, he was in it too.
Okay. Then I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, because I assumed that was I assumed incorrectly that would be the character the actor you pulled from that movie.
Nope, Steve Guttenberg. Steve Guttenberg would be the one I remember.
Okay, because that's actually... I mean, okay. I can accept that.
Star of such films as... other things.
Other movies I don't remember.
No, he was in Police Academy. He was in It Takes Two.
I know, but come on.
Which was essentially The Parent Trap. Starring the Olsen twins.
Man, we are so far off of this movie. You want to just talk about something random?
No. I don't.
No, is there anything else about this movie? Wait, but let's rephrase. I was going to say, like, is there anything else about this movie you don't like? Rephrase. What do you like other than the things you've already discussed about this film?
Oh, see,
Hunt Adams Search.
The things I've already discussed are the only things.
Like I said, the ghoul is pretty creepy. If that's what they're going for,
the ghoul
which
was
apparently it
creepy.
was.
When she gets on the bus and she gets on the bus and it's full of ghouls.
Yeah,
I find her reactions at that point kind of because I guess she's just confused and kind of wandering, but I really think like she would have been running at some point.
Yeah, no, her reactions are not human. But
I like how.
So here's a question. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Her reactions are not human because she's no longer human.
Don't give me that crap.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
her mind as it slowly succumbs
she's purposely disconnected. All right, she's not interested in anything. She's written as disconnected from reality, even as she disconnects from reality. Okay, so she's not interested. She's just scared. That's like the only thing that drives her. The creepy neighbor she goes out with, but just to, I don't know, have someone near her, not to, she's clearly not interested in him.
Yeah.
And that creepy neighbor, super creepy.
Yes.
Watching her change and pushing himself into her room.
No, it's... Yes, he is super creepy.
Yeah.
I called him, Captain Douchebag or something, but his name should actually be, like, Rapey McRaperson.
Mrs. Thomas certainly should have kicked him out.
Yes. Well, but considering he's a hallucination, so is Mrs. Thomas. or whatever her name
yes.
was. It all gets so weird because everybody's
right?
a hallucination. Like, and I understand she's not lucid dreaming or something like that where she has control, but her mind... Let's face some facts. This lady, clearly insane before she started hallucinating. Because her hallucinations also make no logical... Like, they're not bound by any sort of reality. Like, you know, and I understand that hallucinations are not real, but, like, usually they fit into some sort of personal reality. I don't know. I don't understand this movie, Adam. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
I would not. Man.
I would never tell anybody to watch this movie. I would like to watch it with the riff tracks now. I think that'll be pretty funny.
Well, that is one thing. The legendary films, or the legend films rather, release of this actually came with the director's cut in color, black and white, and with an audio track by Michael J. Nelson. And then Riff Tracks has now done their own. But like the official release, like there's the Criterion release and the Legend Films release, and the official release it's not like the Criterion one does, but still, Mike Nelson's.
Right, I mean that's saying something about your film if like you consider like somebody's comedic take on your film an important addition to your official DVD.
Kind of interesting that this never ended up on actual Mystery Science Theater, though, because it is in the public domain. And here's an interesting thing. Apparently, one of the things this inspired in George Romero was forgetfulness. Because
did he forget to like put the copyright claim on it?
Yeah, this movie and Night of the Living Dead, both in the public domain, solely because no one put a copyright notice on the original print.
Which is such a weird technicality, but...
Yeah, I know. Copyright law in this country is completely screwed up. But...
yeah, that's a really weird technicality. Like, that's... Yeah. Like, I made it, but I forgot to write that I made it, so now I don't get to keep it.
It's like killing a woman not because she had visions of God that you think were the devil, but because she wore pants.
Yeah, it's basically exactly the same thing.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's... Yeah, I if this weren't a really, really... If the ghouls didn't bother me so much, I would watch the riff tracks. I don't know if I can watch the riff tracks. No, I'm very sensitive to that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess that's...
I don't like zombie films, as you know, and this is very proto-zombie.
That's a good thing about this movie, okay? It actually scares you.
It is creepy, yeah. It is legitimately creepy.
And the creeps are... The ghouls are supposed to be creepy, and they sell it. They are creepy.
They do. The ghouls do a good job.
The blackened eyes are the sort of sunken eye thing, and, you know, that's common zombie makeup past this, right. You know, because Romero pretty heavily borrowed on the ghouls' makeup.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, we're in proto movie zombie territory, and like it does a good job with that. Part of my, other than the madness involved in this film in general, part of my disdain for it is the fact that I don't like those kind of films in general anyway.
None of the plot makes sense. It's true. Yeah.
Like, and, you know, we're going to get this. I don't know if we're going to encounter any other zombie films along the way, but I'm not going to enjoy those either. Might as well just... Yeah. And, you know, we were talking about this before we started the podcast, but might as well... It's like, it's not that I dislike horror films, because, like I said before on this podcast, I actually enjoy some of them. Poltergeist, I enjoyed. But I do not like zombie films, particularly. I have a very strong distaste for them. So,
yeah,
and this is basically some weird amalgamation of a proto-zombie film, madness, and set pieces that people liked.
Yeah,
which if you put them all in a blender and let it go for a while, you get this film.
Which I mean, I can't dig on that too much because I've certainly had thoughts of, oh, I have this really neat space. I should do something with it, even though I have no idea what I should do. Yeah,
that's what you do with a neat space. You don't make a movie. You take a picture, you paint one.
Yeah,
I don't know. You can, knowing that now, it is so obvious in this film that that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, it was weird before I knew that, and like I didn't understand why that was the way it was. Like, why does she need to go to the carnival place? I don't understand. It was very kind of like one of those things that happens in horror films that you're like, why does that person do that thing?
Why is she running upstairs? Why isn't she going outside? Why isn't she calling the police?
Right, exactly, yeah. And those are things you accept, and it's easier to accept when it's all hallucination, I guess. But knowing that he basically made the film because he found a really cool building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's painfully obvious when you watch the film. Like, when you look back at the film, you're like, oh, yeah, of course. And that was a cool building, and that was a cool building.
What we learned this week.
He should have been a realtor.
Can't make a film just because you found some awesome looking stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's not an acceptable reason. Your movie will turn out as not madness. Become a real estate agent instead of a filmmaker. If you really are into cool buildings.
Well, I don't think there's anything else we really have to say.
No, we're just going to rag on this film. Or at least I will.
Yeah, so let's cut that. Yeah. So for a streaming pile of crap, head over to Hulu and Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, you can enjoy it in all of its. You know what? Just watch the riff tracks version. I'm sure it's better. I'm sure I'm sure that extra content really helps.
I'm sure it does.
He's a funny man.
Yeah, they're good. They're good people there at riff tracks. So watch it with that, but don't watch it without.
Because you'll regret it.
Next week, we are watching one of my favorite movies of all time, The Third Man.
I have not seen it. I'm very excited.
Great movie. It was the first Criterion Collection film that I owned, of like two. And
that was not as impressive as it should have been, Adam.
I did not realize that it was out of print when I sold it for rent money. Mind you, I got a good price on it, but I didn't realize I was getting a good price because it's something I probably should have held on to. So, watching The Third Man next week, one of my favorite
films. Are there any
ghouls
in it?
There are no ghouls in it.
Perfect.
Though there is some black market post-war Vienna, which is kind of like ghouls.
Okay.
No, not really. No. You've never seen it?
No. I'm very excited.
Watch it. Really great. There's a speech about a cuckoo clock in the middle of the movie, which is one of the best things ever put to film.
I'm excited. I've heard you rave about it before, and so I'm very excited. So
we'll be watching The Third Man. We'll talk about that next week, and hopefully it'll be a little longer than this episode.
The ones we don't like tend to be pretty short.
I know, right? And the ones we really do like also tend to be short.
It's
so maybe we should just shoot for
ones.
a half hour.
Yeah. I always shoot for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time.
You've been listening to Lost in Criterion, a production of With Two Brains. The show is hosted by Adam Glass and John Patrick Owatari Dorgan. Jonathan Hape did the music, and Adam Glass also edited it all together. Feel free to contact us by email via lostincriterion@withtwobrains.com or join us on the web at www.lostincriterion.com.